Yo, what is good, yo? It's your boy Ty back here with another video. In this video today, we are going to be building the best squad possible in NBA 2K21 MyTEAM. So if, let's say, the $250,000 tournament was today, what is the squad that I would be using for that? So I mean, it's kind of complicated because even at the point guard position, there's so many different guys that you could go out there with. Some people think LeBron's the best. Some people think Giannis is the best. Some people think Giannis is unusable with his release on very quick. So there's just so many different components to making this squad. But this is going to be the squad I personally would go out there with. And again, you guys can let me know in the comments with what you agree with and ultimately what you do disagree with as well. Now, before we hop into that, if you are new to my channel, have not yet, please consider smashing that subscribe button as we're on the road to 70,000 subscribers. So we're going to start it off here with the point guard position. I'm going to go with the old trusty in my man's dark matter, Ben Simmons. Now, what I like about Ben Simmons is, I mean, first of all, there's nothing wrong with Ben Simmons. You can say LeBron's more updated, you know, obviously Giannis has more Hall of Famers, but Ben Simmons is 6'10". He's got Pro 8. One thing I think that gets overlooked for Ben Simmons is how greenable his release is. If you play the game, you know that Ben Simmons' release is very easy to time and very easy to green. And we'll get to why that is important at the point guard position. But I think if there's one guy today that I'd go into the tournament and be super confident with, it would be the dark matter Ben Simmons. And I don't think I'd have any hesitation running him at that starting point guard position. Really, you could make a case for him, LeBron, or Giannis. But for me, and just kind of my comfortability right now, Ben Simmons is the guy, no doubt about it, I would go out there with. Not the shooting guard position. This one might surprise a lot of people. I'm going to go with Galaxy Opal Josh Smith. Now, a lot of people might go with the Paul Georges of the world, the KDs of the world, and honestly, I thought about putting Kawhi in this lineup as well. But for me, I think Josh Smith is a perfect combination to run with Ben Simmons because Ben Simmons is going to be doing most of the offense anyways. Josh Smith, all he's going to have to do is stand there, knock down open shots, and give you showtime dunks, as well as just play defense. That's all you need from Josh Smith. And so I think as far as just under the radar cards in the game, Josh Smith is one of the top underrated cards in the game. For me, he basically plays no matter what. No matter who is at my point guard position, I'm comfortable running Josh Smith at the 2. At the 3, I know a lot of people think who I'm going to put here, but it's not going to be the case. I'm going to put Thon Maker as my starting small forward. I know a lot of people think, well, Thon's outdated, Thon's release isn't great, Thon isn't this, Thon isn't that. But let me tell you this, on the flip side of things, Thon is a 7-foot player that you can run at the small forward position. Yes, his player build doesn't necessarily look the best, but at the end of the day, he's still 7 feet tall. I can green more with Thon than about anybody in the game right now. And so, I mean, when you combine those two things, the dude's 7 feet tall, he can green more than anybody in the game, as well as his stats and attributes. I mean, there's nothing else to really talk about. His dribble sigs are very, very solid as well. He can burst, he can create his own shot. On the defensive end, he's going to be incredible. As far as rebounding, he helps me out. He helps me clear the glass. So I think as far as underrated small forwards, at least for me, and guys, I've been kind of underrating, Thon Maker's up there as well. He'd probably be my starting small forward if the $250,000 tournament was today. At the power forward position, this one was probably the easiest position to fill. Bill Russell. I mean, when you're thinking about guys that you can just trust, Bill Russell's at the top of the list. The guy's going to play defense. He's 6'10". He's going to knock down open shots with that Ray Allen base. He's a GOAT card and probably the best GOAT card we've seen so far. And I don't even think it's particularly close. I mean, you can make the case, Kobe Bryant. But what Bill Russell can give you at 6'10", he might be one of the top cards in NBA 2K21 in general. Quite honestly, guys, at the center position, you cannot go wrong with their 2 top centers in the game. Whether you want to start the one or start the other one, you can't go wrong either way. Now, I'm going to explain why I put them in the order that I do. It's just kind of a balance type thing. If you want to kind of balance your offense and defense out, and so that's what I'm kind of going to do here by plugging Kristaps Porzingis in the lineup. Now, I do think KP is the best offensive center in the game. I don't think he's quite the best center in the game. Now, again, it's all personal preference, personal bias, but when you get down to as far as centers releases, who has a better and more greenable release than Kristaps, and that's really what it comes down to. If you know in the pick and pop game or even the 5-out game that you can green nearly every single shot with Kristaps, it's going to put so much pressure on the defense. I'm actually super glad that this flash glitch Kristaps ended up being a center power forward, because he's turned into one of my favorite cards in the game. So looking at my starters, we go Ben Simmons 6'10", Josh Smith 6'9", Thon Maker 7 feet tall, Bill Russell 6'10", and then you got Kristaps who's 7'3". So the average height here is nearly close to probably 6'11" is what it is. So we go pretty lengthy across the board. Heading into my bench at the point guard position, this was probably the toughest one for me. Now, for me personally, I'm going with Giannis Antetokounmpo. I know his release on very quick is hard to green. But I feel like right now, more than anything for the majority of the community, it's because we're used to Giannis on quick. I feel like once we get used to the release, it's going to be just fine. That's my personal opinion on it. Again, I've struggled with Giannis's release. I know a ton of people in the community have. But that doesn't take away from what Giannis is going to give you. He's still going to be player build, one of the best player builds in the game. Can play the point guard position, is 6'11", has an incredible burst animation. And let's not talk about what he's going to give you on the defensive end as well. As far as just an all-around overall player, Giannis Antetokounmpo is still probably my favorite point guard in the game. I'm just still new to using him. I'm not as good with him as I am with Ben Simmons, but he can make going on runs super easy with what he can give you on the defensive end. The shooting guard position, you guys are probably going to be a little bit surprised here. For me, I'm going with Galaxy Opal Kevin Durant. Again, I can't stress it enough how much height means to a player. This is mainly current gen, but all these players so far are good on next gen as well. Kevin Durant compared to a guy like Kobe Bryant, you go 6'6" compared to 6'10". Does Kobe Bryant really do enough on the court to make up for those 4 inches? That's kind of where I'm at. And even compared to Josh Smith, I think height is so valuable on current gen at least. And that's why I'm going with Kevin Durant. As far as a pure offensive player, he's one of the best in the game. That's why I'm pairing it with Giannis, because sometimes I struggle offensively with Giannis. So if I can't get it going with Giannis, I know Kevin Durant's going to pick up the slack and be able to really move and groove for me and make things happen. At the small forward position, we're going to go with a triple threat offline reward that came out a very long time ago in the Galaxy Opal Danny Ferry. A card I think 2K's nerfed, I don't ever think 2K nerfs cards. I will say that unless like they do it stat badge wise, I don't think like they nerf a card without us knowing. So for example, Danny Ferry for me lately hasn't been greening as much. He hasn't been knocking down as many shots, but I think it's a me problem. I think it's just probably me mistiming the release and the fact that I need to figure it out with Danny Ferry. I don't think it's anything 2K has done to the card specifically. I just blame 2K because I've struggled. So if that makes sense, that's what I personally do. But as far as guys with quick releases, as far as guys that are just going to knock down shots at the small forward position and hold it down defensively, Danny Ferry's at the top of the list. If you look at his stats for when he came out, absolutely absurd. One thing is, badge-wise, he might lack a little bit, but man, he more than makes up for it. Power forward position, another guy that might lack a little bit in Hall of Fame badges is the pink diamond Bull card. Now, when this card first came out, especially on current gen, people would thought, oh, everybody's just gassing him up. He's not that good. No, Bull is that good. Like he is that good. He's a card that I'll probably use for a very long time until the next Bull card comes out because of his height, because of his versatility, because of his length, just how he moves on the basketball court offensively and defensively. If you look at his defensive stats, he should not move the way he does, but he moves, man. He is a card that just flies around the court and just makes everything easy, right? You can green pretty easy with Bull or Kristaps. They have a pretty easy release to time, much easier than it was last year. If you get a Bull card who is 7'2", has a smooth release and flies around the court, what more could you honestly want? At the center position, we're going to combine Bull with a front court running mate who is going to make up. If you don't think Bull is great on the defensive end, you're probably right. He's not the best defensive power forward in the game. But we're going to give you a guy that's going to more than make up for that. In the dark matter, Bay Mutumbo. Quite honestly, guys, Bay is probably my personal favorite center in the game. You can say Kristaps. You can even run Bill Russell at the center position if you want to. But for me personally, I think Bay Mutumbo and what he gives you on the defensive end is far and away better than everybody else in 2K. His defensive animations are unlike anybody else that I've ever seen. The block animations he gets and just the way he finishes around the rim on the offensive end. Yes, you can make whatever case you want about his release not being the best. You're right. He doesn't have the best release in the game, but it's not the worst. You can green with Bay Mutumbo. It's just the jump shot for that you definitely got to get used to. So in my opinion, Bay is the best center in the game. and by far and away the best defensive player in NBA 2K21. So when it comes to filling these last 3 spots out, I want some guys that can play some different positions. At the point guard position, I'm going to go with Mickey James, LeBron James. We'll see if he can get it done in the playoffs this year. But again, you got Ben Simmons, you got Giannis, you got LeBron. Between those 3 players on current gen especially, it's really preference based. I haven't used LeBron enough to really put him in the top 2, but I know a lot of people who think he's the best point guard in the game. So if you think that, that's fine. We're gonna plug him right into that 11th spot. Another guy we're gonna plug in at the small forward shooting guard position, wrong Kobe, is the invincible Kobe Bryant. And here's the thing about Kobe Bryant here. He's an invincible card. 99 basically everything. Stats has every badge in the game. The only downside to him is height. When a 6'6" shooting guard comes out, I don't want to say they're unusable, but it's not a card I get excited to use. I value height a ton, and that's why Kobe Bryant is not going to be in my top 10 squad or top 10 players. But I shouldn't say top 10 players because he came in at number 9 or 10, I think, but not a guy to make my squad. If the 250K tournament was today, not a guy to really make my rotation. And when I say that, I only play my top 10 guys. Center position, we're going to get a guy that probably is going to surprise most of the community, and it's Shaquille O'Neal. Shaq, man, the things he does for me, I'll never be able to say. Like offensively and defensively, just because his player build is so good, it makes him incredible. Most people probably would have a different option here to fill their kind of last void. But for me, there's no hesitation. Shaq and what he can give me if I need to stop. I mean, obviously, I'll still run Dikembe over Shaq, but Shaq is stop, man. The contact dunk animations he gets are second to none. And honestly, it was sad to let Shaq go. I mean, he's my 3rd favorite center right now in the game, but he doesn't quite compare to Kristaps or Mutombo. So if the $250,000 tournament was today, this is the lineup I would build. I can't really say the best squad in the game because I honestly had Kobe over a guy like Kevin Durant on my top 10 player list. But this is my preference-based squad. So on current gen specifically, this is the squad that I would go out there with. Comment yours down below. Would you run Giannis at the 2 and LeBron at the 1 on your bench? What would you do if the $250,000 tournament was today and you had to play in it? Comment that down below, guys. Drop a like on the video. Subscribe if you are new. And as always, man, I love you guys and have a blessed day.